Hey, what's up? It's Jeff Whiting. Um, Talking about today a talk from Elder Bednar. Um, the part of the talk that I was focusing on was mostly the argument that he makes about um, basically letting a cyber world become our reality. It's very interesting to approach that talk from the perspective of diagramming an argument. Um, I guess it's not really something I'm used to. Uh, I am a Mormon. I have been for forever, and I feel like I don't feel like I know that it's true, um, and therefore I try to do my very best at following all the any and all counsel that is given to me from the apostles and everything. And since Elder Bednar is an apostle and he's a church leader, I inherently trust what he says and um, try to incorporate it into my own life. But for the purposes of this assignment, I was asked to kind of diagram what he talked about, and I thought it was really interesting. He started out by basically setting out some definitions. Talked about, oh shoot, I'm drawing a blank here. He talked about who we are as far as our purpose here on earth. And then he talked about how, or rather, he talked about what role our bodies play in that. Um, so, who I am, Jeffrey Whiting, um, and the life that I have, the relationships that I have, the roles that all of that plays in my eternal existence. Um, and talked about how it's very important, like our bodies, for example, are so very special, and um, yeah. And then the next thing that he talked about is another, I don't know if it's qualifier or so much as just setting bounds of definitions, but he also talked about Satan's goal. And he talked about how Satan's absolute goal is to get us to do things wrong, to make mistakes, to do anything that he can get us to do that's contrary to God's wishes. And then he did something really interesting. He started comparing all of that to the internet, and I think it seemed like he was mostly talking about video games, but um, most of the examples that he was giving was video games. But what he was talking about was online profiles and how they can basically become us, or we can choose to leave our real lives, our real bodies, and trade them for he states it basically as a cheap knockoff version of it, of online life, um, of a cyber reality. And he talked about how that was inherently wrong. That not necessarily playing video games is inherently wrong, and not necessarily using social media is inherently wrong. In fact, he um, also spends quite a bit of time expounding the virtues of at least the internet, and what it can do for us and what it can do for the gospel. Um, But he talked about how, I think his main argument was that if we're spending too much time on it, then it can start to become a reality, and that's a really bad thing, because we're trading out this God-given gift of our life and what it is for a cheap knockoff version of it. Anyways, that was my take on it. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.